Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 4, Episode 5. It is called Quite a Ride. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always.
It's an accurate title.
It is. It's actually, obviously we're going to talk about the opening scene in a second, because that's a pretty big prominent deal.
It's a
But,
game changer.
but what I do want to mention, actually, is just how well Kim and Saul's stories in this kind of mirrored each other in terms of their emotional arc, and also just in general Saul's, like, every time I've written him off, he has this moment where he gets self-aware and realizes what he's doing, and he dials it back. And every time I think, no, this is it, this is him off the deep end, this is him going straight into Saul territory, he's never coming back.
Do you know what? That's the point. I realized in the past week or so, kind of just dawned on me. I was talking to a friend just about the show in general.
Allegedly.
There's not going to be one of those moments. There's not going to be this is the moment where that's it. There's no going back now. I think it's just it's being too gradual, to just we're a step further this time, but then he reins it back. It'll just be over time, and then we'll go, no, he's already like it. We didn't even. You almost don't even notice. It's like, okay, it just kind of happens.
We'll see. I'm not sure, because I feel like no matter what the point is, we realise that that's the moment he's made his choice and he's not turned back.
I mean, maybe, but I don't think it's going to be like a big snap moment of that's the.
But none of them have been though. Like, this stuff recently has been fairly small potatoes in terms of, compared to some of the earlier stuff. It was just a case of, he's starting to go down that path. Maybe this is where he just never stops. Right? I guess that's what we're waiting for. We're not waiting for the big monumental moment where Saul makes this life choice where he breaks bad. It's more just, there's going to be a point where he never stops.
Yeah, but how long till you notice that he hasn't stopped? Because at the moment we're going, there he goes, he's stopped. But just because he doesn't stop, immediately in that episode doesn't mean he won't stop in the next one. So it's like, okay, when do you kind of know definitively?
When the show ends.
That's a boring answer.
Well, the show's probably ending in next, season 5. We're getting kind of there.
You're making that assumption.
Yeah, so I think it's a reasonable assumption at this point.
I don't agree with that. I think it's potentially that's the case.
I'm not saying it's definitely ending next season. I'm just saying it seems likely that it's probably going to end in season 5.
I don't know if I'd go as far as say likely.
But the point I'm making is that every time I think that he's written off, he does this thing where he makes his choice. And I think what impressed me most in this one is that it wasn't even like we were saying, the selling the phones and the doing this wasn't like a big thing in like a sort of bad sense. His decision to come back wasn't like a big prominent moment either. He actually just decided to do that on his own. No one even gave him a speech. No one even, it was a genuine moment of self-reflection. He's actually growing. If anything, he's getting better. It's weird. Because we know where this is going, and we know it doesn't end up better. Case in point.
It does not.
The opening scene, which was not post Breaking Bad, but near the end of Breaking Bad.
Yes, right towards the end, last couple of episodes.
Yeah, because we see him getting picked up with a car, so this was just before that. That's the call he makes at the end. And Francesca's, shredding all the documents and whatnot. Because there's a moment where I'm like, wait, where are we? What time is this?
Yeah, there was a moment where I'm like, did I miss an episode? just for a second, I was like, did I miss something? And I'm like, okay, no, never mind. I realised what's happening here.
Yeah, take a few seconds to recognise the office, and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It's just because we've never done that in this show. We've done the post Breaking Bad, we've done the black and white sequences. So I'm trained for those, but this was it's full colour. I'm like, so I'm used to that just being this is the Saul time period.
Well, yes, but that's black and white is post Breaking Bad. This was not post Breaking Bad. There's clearly rules. No. There's rules here we're playing with, and that seems to be the distinction.
It is, yeah, but it still surprised me. Just okay, we're doing that now. That's open.
And it's interesting that there's a link with the phones. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that I mean, he might build contacts with phones later, but it does seem like he's given that idea up for the time being. He's still working there, of course. Like he's still, he's still doing his thing. But he cleans off all the paint after his mugging, and you can kind of see where that was going. I want to compliment him, though, because obviously he has this idea where he goes and pays for all the phones out the shop himself in the middle of the night to go and then sell them on the street, off book, so that they really can't be traced. Like they're really just
Mm.
no record of them, right? And the moment where he sold to a bunch of people at the hot dog place, and the biker gang come in, and everyone else leaves, and the biker gang come in, and he sort of like notices and just sort of sits in the car. It turned into a horror movie for about 30 seconds, where I was genuinely scared about where Jimmy was and what might happen to him.
I love that before you even know it. Okay, this is a biker gang. People just get up and leave it, and you're like, "What's coming?
Something's coming.
What do they know that we don't?"
Yeah, and I love the moment where you realise that he's like, you know what, nah, I'm going to try and sell to these guys as well. And he gets out of the car and he walks up. And it's just a delightful. And he's good at what he does. Of course, the three young punks come up and mug him afterwards. But and that's kind of a moment for him where and it's funny because when he talks to Kim afterwards, because she was already kind of weird about the fact that he was leaving at 9 p.m. to go do work when he works in a phone shop. It's just weird.
It is pretty weird.
And he he can actually be pretty honest about it. I mean, obviously he's not going to tell her that he was out selling phones, but he got mugged. Like, that part's true.
It is.
He got beat up. His injuries are real. Like, and she's patching him up. And do you know what the little moment I like in this scene? There's a little subtle moment where she doesn't even ask him to do it, but because she's only got the one hand right now, he opens up the little bottle for her because she's going to like attend to his wound. And he just flicks it open for her without even. She doesn't ask. He just does it instinctively. I was like, for all the faults these two have, or him specifically, there is like an in sync kind of connection.
Is, yeah.
I've said that for a long time, but I mean, that was just a simple little showing of it that I liked. It was nice. And he makes the choice at the end of this scene to go to the therapist. He says, "I'm going to go see the shrink," and unprompted, he just says that because. It's like, again, he's becoming self-aware of who he is and what he's doing.
No, the real moment of self-awareness in this scene is when he says, there was a time where they'd have seen me and they wouldn't have dared done that because they'd have known I was not to be messed with, and that's how he played it. And at the mugging, he was like, "Come on, guys, what are you playing at?" He played it like they were going to look at him and go, "Yeah, this isn't worth the trouble." And obviously, that's not how it went down. He's only just realizing that, hang on, that's not actually who I am anymore. I don't come across like that.
Yeah. I really like that first scene where he's up to them in the car and he tries to sell them phones. And they call him a narc. And he says, "Would a narc be driving a piece of shit like this?" And the guy goes, "Take it back to the impound, narc." And I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty smart little shit. That's pretty smart, yes. Very good.
It is, yeah.
Very good. But no, I liked that. I liked him taking down the letters, the painted letters on the window, and it's actually when he goes to the courthouse. He's there to check in because he's on like probation, because of all the trouble, and he runs into Hamlin, who, by the way, my heart's got out to Hamlin right now. That man is a wreck.
Oh man, when you see him and he looks like shit. Right?
He does.
This is a man who up until this point has always looked impeccable.
Yeah. Also, with his hair down like that, the way it was, he looked a little bit Alan Tudyk at first, I thought.
I can see it.
I was getting some Alan Tudyk vibes from him.
I can see it.
But, so it's this scene where he tries to, like, ask him if he's alright. Like, Jimmy trying to be the nice guy is like, "Hey, are you sure you're okay?" And he's like, "Oh, I've got insomnia," and, and he almost tells him what's eating at him. And he's like, no, I've already revealed too much before. I've already opened up too much. Mm-hmm. Clearly, this is about Chuck. He doesn't want to go into it.
Oh, absolutely.
And Saul, after this, like, rips up the therapist number because he basically sees Hamlin as, because he mentions he's going to a therapist already twice a week. He sees Hamlin as, "Oh, that's what'll happen to me if I go and see a therapist. I don't want this. And sure, Hamlin's clearly having a bad time. That said, he thinks he helped someone or forced someone, or not forced,
yeah,
but
I wouldn't go as far as to say he thinks that's what'll happen to him if he goes to a therapist. I think it's more just this, Hamlin's going to a good therapist because he can afford a good therapist, and it's still not doing any good. So what's the point?
You may. I mean, maybe. I feel like there's more to it than that. I think it's more about how in this scene he is pitying Hamlin, and I think the last thing he wants is for someone else to pity him. And I think that goes back to the mugging scene. Is the idea that like, I mean, obviously didn't call the police as well because he was up to no good. But like, I think the idea of being pitied and the idea of being the one who needs help is something that Saul never wants to feel like he's in. Because I think going all the way back to his childhood, like he's always had to do things for himself. I mean, his brother looked out for him to an extent, but he basically had to make his own way, improve himself, and a lot of the show has been about him doing that.
No, that's fair. For me, I think it's a lot about the futility because he hates trying things over and over. He doesn't stick with things and really does them. He does it and then he'll find an alternate route, right? He'll go, okay, that didn't work. I'll just try something else.
But he goes to his meeting and the officers just ask, so you got employed and blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, have you thought about plans at the end of this period? And he goes into this little monologue about, oh, me and my partner are going to get another law office. It'll be bigger, it'll be better. I'll be a great lawyer. I'll be respected. And he goes into
I'll have more clients and win more cases.
So he's like, so you're going to be a lawyer then? Okay. That made me laugh. I'm not going to lie. And then, of course, we actually have the harsh cut there because he says, yeah, lawyer. And it's like he's contemplating, like, does he really want that?
Yeah. Do you know what? This is actually one of the first episodes, maybe ever, of the show where I didn't get the ending moment as it was happening because I thought it was going to be just before. He rips up the note, the number.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he's looking over the toy, he rips up the number and he throws it down, and I thought, okay, that's the ending moment because that kind of loops back around to the start with the shredding.
Oh sure, yeah, I can see it.
So I thought, oh, that's the moment, and then there was like just it was only another 90 seconds afterwards, but it really threw me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I got it just before it happened. There's the pause after he says it. I'm just going to cut to the credit right here.
It is, yeah.
And sure enough, it did. So, but no, Saul's story is because it's in this place right now. It's in this kind of lull between the big moments, and having that scene from sort of during Breaking Bad time and kind of seeing how it connects. In fact, do you know what really like gave me a little sort of I don't know dash of excitement, I guess we'll call it. Is when he says to Francesca, he gives her a card for a lawyer and says, tell him Jimmy sent you. And there's something, because we never knew his name was Jimmy in Breaking Bad, and there's something about him actually revealing that to a character in Breaking Bad that feels really important now. It feels like a big deal.
Mm.
So
did we not know his name was Jimmy?
No, I don't think we did. If we did, I don't remember finding out.
Because I just didn't remember it knowing it was it was a fake name. Because I remember him telling Walt Saul Goodman, right? Pretty early on.
Sure,
I assumed he told what his actual name there.
I don't recall ever knowing his name was Jimmy before Better Call Saul.
That's fair enough. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe I'm just projecting backwards.
Yeah.
In my memory.
So. No, I thought that scene was really effective in that sense. And then, of course, there's the connection with the phones, the idea that he rips it in half, just like he does in the shop, which was a funny scene when he kind of tricks that guy into buying, like, 6 phones.
6, yeah.
Even though he's not even that much of a criminal, he clearly does a little bit of his carpentry or whatever off book. That's all he's doing. He's like, no, you need another phone for every week.
Yeah.
No, these 6 are being reserved. little.
Yeah.
It was whenever he went in to adjust his little sign that he just made. It said reserved,
Yeah, on hold.
But
you mentioned there how it's in a lull between the big beats,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's kind of perfect. That's kind of fallen how it's in a lull for his life. It's okay. This is the part where he's not allowed to do his lawyering, so he has to. Okay, I've got to kill some time for a year.
Oh sure.
That lull, it's kind of nice how that's mirrored.
No, it's just working out. That certainly was not a complaint, and I think seeing because I think him going back and forth and going to the edge and doing the things where he's selling the phones and then coming back after a bit of a scare is exactly what happens to Kim in this episode, because Kim we see is actually taking cases. She's doing like small crimes in the court, and she's with this guy. And I wanted to punch this little shit. See, after she does all this convincing with the other lawyer, the guy that I've been seeing since the start of the show, the one that Saul used to always
the dickbag.
The dickbag, yeah. And she talks him down. She says, no, down to 6 months probation. And there's the funny moment where she's like, no, make it 4. He's like, 4? What happened to 6? You're annoying me. Right? That was funny. And she tries so hard, she has to fight tooth and nail to get this kid no jail time and just get some probation. And the little shit turns around and says, after the hearing, oh, I need to go to a probation officer for 4 months. Jeez, like smack him right now.
You can see she turns and the stare she gives.
Oh,
I honestly thought, if her arm wasn't like that, that's it. Kid's getting a smack.
And she gives him a pretty harsh talk about reality and what he should do. Because she makes a really good point when she's arguing with the lawyer. She says, "Hey, what do you want him to go to jail for 6 months and just join a gang because he's in there? Like, 'cause that's what he's going to do. That's what happens when they go to jail at this age. Like, let's give him a chance." And she's like, "No, you're going to go to your grandfather. You're going to beg for a job at his restaurant. If he wants you to clean toilets, you clean goddamn toilets, and you stay out of trouble." And he kind of, he kind of accepts it. Also, I love that that's probably one of Saul's ties that she's brought in because it's her. She takes it back.
Almost certainly, yeah.
I think that's really funny. I don't know. And then she goes to see like the other woman who's terrified, and she like it's comforting. She talks her out of her house and convinces her to be brave and this go on because she's And it's the idea what we said last week. She cares about helping people. She feels she's helping people, but she gets a phone call from Mesa Verde, and we've seen a couple of times in this episode up until this point where she's kind of like, "Oh, I'll do the paperwork at night," and she started working on it later on when Saul's trying to watch Dr. Zhivago and things are going on.
Not that he watched it for very long.
No, that was the music from Dr. Zhivago though. I can confirm.
One of my favorite things about that scene is the framing.
On
so
Saul?
the two of them are sat on the couch. Yeah, the two of them are sat there, and then she gets up to do work, and the camera just sits on him. It doesn't reframe him to the center. It just leaves the empty space where Kim was.
Yeah, once it starts playing, the camera starts cutting a lot around him. It's kind of a erratic. It's like he's really uneasy and bored. It's like he's not really paying attention to the movie, and he's just kind of like, "I need to do something. I need to do something."
Yeah.
So that's again a good bit of direction there, a good bit of acting as well. But so she gets this phone call, and it's there was a mistake in one of the papers. You need to come down and let's fix it. And she's not mad, right? It's just fine. The mistakes happen, and she even says, in the later scene, mistakes happen. It's not a big deal. They need to come and fix it. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not available till 4. Sorry, I just can't," and just hangs up. And it's like, Kim, what are you doing? You're kind of sabotaging yourself here. And again, much like Saul in this episode, she clearly realizes what she's done because when she goes in to speak to her, she's very apologetic. She promises it won't happen again. Now, I'm not sure if I'm convinced it will not happen again. We'll see.
See, this is the thing. I don't think she is apologetic. She's actually very cold. She accepts that what she did was maybe wrong, but she doesn't really apologize. She doesn't, she's not sorry. She's just like, okay, fine. She's when she says, "Oh no, we need your full attention," she just goes, "Got it." Like she doesn't really like it, but she'll do it.
She does apologize.
No, she says she's sorry, but I don't feel like she's apologetic. There's a difference.
Okay, sure. I feel like at the end when she says, "I promise this will never happen again," I mean, whether or not she feels like groveling sorry, if to put it in sort of extreme terms, or whatever, yeah, that's debatable. But I do think she's scared of what she did. I don't think she's unaffected by this. I think she feels the scorn of what she's been told off here. I really do feel that in this scene with her, and I think she did get a little bit scared out of this. That's not to say that she won't just keep going back to doing other, because she outright just fobs them off to go and help this woman. Like she cares more about doing that than the Mesa Verde case, which last season that was all she could think about, and it drove her off the road, literally. Literally. You know what I'm trying to say,
just
folks?
Stop saying that word.
Sometimes you need to say the word.
You don't.
What am I supposed to do? Just do what the opposite of the idiot kids do and use figuratively in the wrong way? Like,
let's make it a thing.
She was figuratively driven off the road. Doesn't work. So that's funny. Doesn't work, damn it. But hey, so that was Kim. So Kim and Saul both got really good character development in this episode, and what was really neat, I thought, was how they kind of mirrored each other and how they both kind of went in the direction they felt they wanted to go in, and then get a scare back. The difference, of course, being is that Kim's like sort of direct personal direction was a lot more noble, right? There's definitely a lot more sympathy you have with her and what she's trying to achieve and why she cares about that. Whereas with Saul, it's kind of like, no, learn your lesson and rein yourself in.
Pretty much.
So, that's interesting.
So, just before we move on from these characters and their plots, Which lawyer do you think it was that he would tell Francesca to go to? Because I'm thinking it might be Hamlin.
Hamlin makes the most sense because I feel like, depending on how Kim and him end, and assuming Kim's alive, I don't know if
I don't think it's Kim because Francesca knows Kim, right?
that's true. That makes a lot of sense. So Hamlin makes the most sense because Hamlin will still be a law firm, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, unless something drastic happens.
That is going to be so exciting to me if we see like Kim or Hamlin like post Breaking Bad. That is going to be
Yeah,
so exciting
and,
if that happens by the
and
end
I
of the
think
show.
after season one, Jimmy has had a respect for Hamlin. In season one, Hamlin was the bad guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Ever
then
since it was real that Chuck was behind a lot of the sabotage, that
yeah,
was yeah.
I think he has a respect for Hamlin. Obviously, he's disagreed with him a lot, but so that he still looks up to him as a lawyer.
Yeah, actually, what I just said there is why I think Kim doesn't die. I think we get Saul meeting Kim post Breaking Bad.
Quite possibly.
I think in present day he's going to make a choice to go and see her, not caring that he's probably going to be spotted, and that'll be maybe
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
towards the end of the
That,
story.
that feels like a final episode sort
It
of
does,
moment, doesn't
yeah.
it?
It feels like that's going to be the final like 15 minutes. It's all going to be one take. And it'll just be this heart wrenching conversation of awkwardness and like Saul
Yeah.
pouring out his heart, and it'll be like, "Oh no, Saul, what have you done? If you just went back and didn't,
Didn't be a big
sabotage
bag.
and do these different things." So the thing with Saul is you can go back to like 3 or 4 key incidents and basically fix all of his problems. There's like 3 or 4 biggies that if you just alter those ones and tell him not to do it, it would fix everything.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So no natural this episode, but we did get after the opening scene, we got this opening with this character we didn't know, and he was he gets off a plane, he goes to a car, there's keys under the the wheel, and he gets, and Joe, it's funny, as I was watching this and it was very slow and methodical, I sort of smirked to myself, this feels like a make scene, and
It
then,
does, doesn't it? Just in the direction.
yeah. And then, sure enough, the phone rings inside the car, and it's Mike, and I'm like, "Aha! It's a make scene. They tricked us. It was a make scene all along." And it gives him instructions because we know he was doing a job for Gus. That was set up last week, and it's like all these instructions: drive out here, put a hood over your head, and Mike shows up and takes him into a van and drives somewhere, and then he takes him to a very familiar location.
Yes.
The laundry thing. What was the exact business? What was the front again? I can't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't a laundromat, was it?
No, it was bigger. It was like an industrial laundry.
Bigger, yeah.
But regardless, it's there, right? It's this what the lab is. In season like 3 onwards of Breaking Bad, and he's there basically because this is the thing. I think in Breaking Bad we just assumed, unless there was a line or something that I'm forgetting because it's been a while. I think you probably just assumed, oh, this place had a basement, and that was just they just converted it, and that was fine. No. They've got this guy here, and he pulls out his little laser pointer, and he's got like his little laptop, and he's like, making these little clicking noises, and Mike just looks like bored and frustrated, very upset with the whole thing. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I can do it. 7 months, baby, no problem."
And Mike's like, so need to blow some stuff up, right? He's like, nah, forget about it. Be cool.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that is literally his actress. Forget about it. That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Easy. And they get a
Really
phone call, and basically it's like clearly Gus is saying, "Nah, not him." And the guy's like shocked as to the fact that he's just been kicked back to his car and told to get out of the country, go away.
Mm.
And then later on in the episode, towards the end, we get a second character, same way, but he's very different. He's a lot more fidgety. He's sort of sneezing a lot. He's clearly not
Travel
as
sick.
He's travel sick. He's not as kept together. And when he pulls out his bag, he's got several tools. He's got a little notepad, pen and paper, a bit more down to earth. He's actually measuring things. He takes a lot longer. It's a lot less high tech. And Mike doesn't seem as bored because I think Mike respects, he understands each of the things that he's doing. He understands why he's measuring that. If nothing else, he's showing that he cares enough to actually check all these things himself.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think because I think what you just said could have been interpreted, the first part at least, that Mike had a disdain for the technology the guy was using.
Oh, I don't think
And
that
I don't
per
think it's
se.
that at all.
I don't think it's that. I think it's that the guy with the technology just kind of, in a very blasé way, just did a couple of clicks, and that was all he did. Right?
Yeah, I think it was that he never moved more than 5 paces from where he was stood.
Yeah.
And
Um,
but where this guy walks around the room, he's looking under the little things, going, okay, this is what's around it.
Yeah, and when Mike asks him about, okay, can it be done? The guy, instead of saying, "Oh, it's easy," he tells him how bloody hard it's going to be, especially given it has to be in secret. No one's allowed to know we're here. So instead of blasting stuff, we're going to have to build support pillars. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this. It's going to take a long time. It's going to be very expensive. He does, and then Gus walks out in person, which is clear to us, obviously, at this point. Okay, this guy's getting the job because clearly Gus
You kind
respects
of
him
know
enough.
where it's going anyway, because he's not getting a phone call. He's not being
Yeah,
stopped. I'm like, this is going on too long. This is feeling too legit. Like, this guy is respecting the difficulty of the job.
yeah. And because of that's why Gus clearly picks him and agrees, because he says, "Oh, it says it's impossible." He's like, "No, it's not impossible. It's expensive. It'll be this. It'll be that, but it's not
Yeah,
impossible.
it'll be expensive, dangerous,
It'll be a
very
challenge."
maybe time consuming,
Yeah,
but not impossible.
and it's funny because I feel like, because obviously time's not moving as quickly in the show as it is in real life, just like was with Breaking Bad, and I mean, I don't know, I can't remember what Breaking Bad was set on when it started, but I feel like because there's a gap between the shows, right? It's not like it's going to run right into it. It can't.
No, because Breaking Bad, I'm sure. I think when it started, it was just when it started. What, 2008, right?
And it took place over 2 years, right? So,
Yeah,
and we're at what, 2002 in Better Call Saul right now?
2002, 2003, maybe.
Yeah. But the reason why I'm saying this is I feel like this project will take about a year, maybe more, and I think Saul's, he'll be a lawyer again in about a year. Well, 9 months or so, as he points out in this episode exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be something like specifically him becoming a lawyer again. That might just be happening, assuming the show ends next season. That'd be something that'd be happening just as we end the show. But I could be wrong. Maybe we'll have a big time jump between seasons. We could do.
Yeah, I don't see it being a time jump necessarily, but I do expect to see Saul setting up some of his criminal lawyering
Oh,
stuff.
sure, absolutely.
We're seeing the seeds of that with the phones and etc. He's building that web of contacts. But I do expect to see at least the first couple of cases of him, doing that, and maybe one directly for Gus, on his behalf.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be like he's already set up though. I feel like he might like not actually go in and be the lawyer for him because he can't, right? When he's not obviously in this 9 months.
But more just the unofficial advice.
Yes, like he'll be there, he'll build those contacts before he's a lawyer again, and then I can see the choice of him going down this. Like maybe he'll become a lawyer again towards the end of the show, and then when he has to change gears and go towards what he is in Breaking Bad, there'll be a moment of choice where okay, I can rely on these contacts now instead. Rather than try to be legit, I'll rely on this side of my life, and but hey, I don't know. I was like, because it's like, okay, this is going to take a long time, because we don't necessarily have to have this place up and running by the end of the show, because we know that until
nothing necessary is here for in this time period.
Because until Walt takes it, I don't think anyone. I mean, Gale was there, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but it's
successful.
No impact to us, really.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
we know of.
It was fun seeing it again, though. It was fun seeing how much effort went into this and how difficult it was probably going to be to actually pull it off.
Yeah, it was one of those things going, oh, okay, this is cool. It's exciting, right?
It's exciting for a number of reasons. It also makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because it means that there's no basement to this place in the city plans. Like, as far as the records are concerned, this basement level does not exist.
Which I feel that was probably mentioned in Breaking Bad at some point. Because I remember them coming and checking the place out a few times. I feel like they'd have known. Okay, there was no. They would have mentioned. Okay, it's just this, right?
Yeah, but I think maybe at the time we probably just assumed, they doctored the.
Maybe.
the blueprints. They did whatever.
It was a while. I don't remember my exact thoughts as to why they didn't know.
Yeah, we probably didn't even think about it. It's probably just
probably
more important things were happening.
Went, it's not on the plans. Okay, cool. It's secret. That's all I need to know.
But it was an exciting little scene when you realise what they were doing. So it's good stuff. It's interesting. It's really funny this season because I'm still really not sure. I feel like last season, especially up until the halfway point, and especially season 2, I feel like there was always like a sort of idea of where we were going with the season. Although we were very wrong in a lot of ways because we kept predicting that Kim and Subtle's big breakup moment was going to happen by the end of the season.
Yeah, but we were still on the trajectory.
Yeah. Whereas here, I'm not really sure what's coming in the last half. It's kind of exciting.
it's been kind of meandering, not in a bad way. I've been enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard to nail down. Oh, this is what this season is.
Yeah, because the plot revolves so much around Chuck that with Chuck gone, we're kind of just dealing with everyone kind of re-establishing where they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like you say, it lines up with where Saul is in his life right now, so it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so no. So and obviously this is the first time Mike is properly working for Gus as well, like full on. Like this is a job he was hired for, and didn't just kind of
Yeah, I
worm his
like
way
that
into.
Mike was in on this stuff here from from the ground up.
Yeah, yeah. No, that
Pretty
makes a
cool.
lot of sense because that was some of his bigger stuff. Obviously, he first appeared in season 2, but I think we all remember the half measures, full measures at the end of season 3 with Mike and how much of a big part of that he was. So, but yeah, so there you go. That's episode 5 of Saul.
Half the season done.
It goes in so quick. It really does. It goes in so quick. Yeah. I want to point out it's a little bit of direction here. When they're in the van the first time, and it keeps cutting ahead in time, because I noticed when the guy arrived, I was like, this feels a little bit blue, like the color temperature. This is some camera talk here, but as they were cutting inside the van, it was getting more and more orange to kind of emulate the fact that the day was passing. Like it was later in the day. It was like it started off early morning, and now it's like early afternoon maybe, and everything's bright and orange. And I was like, okay, alright, I see why they did that there. Because it was kind of weird at first. I was like, this is weird. I've never seen this show have this much of a blue tint before. But it was just purely to kind of sell the time passing, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, like because the second guy is like, hey, from the sounds, we're near a town, and we know they haven't really gone that far.
Mm-hmm.
But they were let's drive them around for a few hours.
Yeah, well, it depends where the airport was. Maybe they got him to fly in, somewhere.
Maybe. I think it's funny if they just drove them around, aimlessly for 2 or 3 hours.
go around this junction 50 times, and then we'll then go to the location.
Yeah, it just basically just go right, just driving that way for about an hour and a half, and then come back.
Yeah, just
Well,
do a figure 8 around these few streets, and then just come back eventually. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, very secretive. But hey, there you go. That's episode 5 of Better Call Saul. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here and keep the reviews coming. We appreciate it loads. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?